Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. Allison, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here. I've been so excited about talking with you today.
Well, you've been in my bathroom for a few weeks now, and it's always so nice to meet a creator. And I always think, gosh, I would love to create a brand. I've been brand side on so many different brands. And then I think the amount of courage and, volition it would take to create something for yourself must be enormous. And so I'm always honored when I get to have the conversation with someone who put all of their passion and money and time and effort into delivering a solution for us to enjoy. So I think this is going to be a great conversation. I want to start with the fact that you are a former makeup artist. So you've seen a lot of complexions and a lot of faces, but it's an unusual pathway to enter the cosmeceutical skincare game. What brought you here?
Well, I guess for me, it's always been about the skin. And with makeup artistry, the most important foundation, I guess, is great skin. And so often when you have a client that's coming for makeup or a specific event that you're working on, if the person has skin that's prepared, you're going to get a much better result with the finishing look of the makeup. So I worked in the cosmetic industry for a very long time and then went into makeup artistry. So I had a really big understanding of the importance of skincare and how that works on the skin. It's quite literally been in my DNA because when I was growing up, my grandmother, who was a nurse, used to make her own skin creams and soaps and things like that. And she always spoke to me about looking after your skin. We've got one skin, it's an amazing organ and it has to carry us through the entirety of our life. And my mum was also always using skincare and makeup. It was just always around me. I just knew to look after the skin. So when I started working in the cosmetic industry, learning about the different ingredients and how they work on the skin and what they do for the skin has always been of interest to me. To me, skin has been absolutely everything.
I think
And
it's really interesting because the best makeup artists I've ever spoken to, their goal is always to get rid of as much product as possible on the skin and
yes.
then to do the painting to accentuate the features. And I guess that's what I'm hearing from you as well.
No, very much. And, if you're going to put makeup onto a face, if it's not hydrated, if it's not exfoliated, if it's not clean, that's going to create the look of the makeup that isn't going to be desirable. Without putting moisture into the skin and having a beautiful hydrated skin, the makeup is just going to absorb into the skin and you're going to lose the makeup. It can look very dull, going to have that beautiful glow. And equally, if the face hasn't been, readily prepared, exfoliated. I guess, it's very much like painting a house, like if you just go and put the paint on without preparing it, it's, it might look good for a couple of minutes, but it's going to change because it's going to seep into the home. And that's the same with makeup. Unless you prepare the skin, you're not going to get a great result with the makeup.
I always have been told, and I think one of the great makeup artists that I know and I love is Ray Morris. And she always says to me, the more makeup you wear, the older you'll look. And as you age, you really, really want to have that flawless canvas. And we, with a lot of makeup artists that I've had on the show as well, we spend more time talking about skincare and prepping the canvas because exactly what you just said. I'm wondering, because you are a former makeup artist, do you still kind of keep an eye on what the trends are? Are there things that you're noticing and then going, okay, if this is the makeup trend, if this is where beauty is going, this is triggering me to create this kind of cosmeceutical skincare. Is there anything that you're seeing at the moment that's exciting to you?
Most definitely. And of course, that clean girl makeup look is absolutely everywhere. And I think it really come on to us with during the time of lockdown and through those times, where we were doing a lot of at-home care and we were getting used to not having that full makeup on every day to go about into what we're doing in our lives. And that um, clean look, not wanting to have that mask on our face, I think has been everything. Clean, healthy, glowing skin is what people, are wanting to feel more, feel confident in their skin, not having, a heavy layer of makeup on the skin. And we're seeing a lot of makeup artists that are making their, formulating their own brands. They're very much going into putting ingredients into their makeup that is really going to give that glowing, hydrated, good ingredients into the makeup. So it's not just makeup anymore. It's verging on, where skincare and makeup unite.
Oh, absolutely. I interviewed Terry de Grunsberg from By Terry, and it's the skinification of makeup. Very much so, exactly what you're saying. But I'm really interested because you didn't just make skincare, and I've seen makeup artists put skincare in their line. You went. I'm only doing skincare, and I'm doing cosmeceutical skincare. So that's actually massive, because the R&D involved in cosmeceutical level ingredients is massive. The expense to produce and to source ingredients at that level is massive. Why did you decide cosmeceutical? And can you, I guess, share with me the science that you really wanted to back to birth your MX skincare line?
Well, I always have known what are the best active ingredients, the scientifically researched ingredients that get results on the skin. It's so important for us to have antioxidants and things like that that's going to protect our skin and repair our skin, etc. We live in one of the harshest climates in the world. So I wanted to create a skincare line that was scientifically backed with those ingredients that have been scientifically researched to get results on the skin. So for me, it was all about the ingredients. And I wanted the best active ingredients because there's a lot of vitamin C's, there's a lot of retinols or vitamin A's, but they're not all created equal. So I wanted the best active ingredients, the ingredients that were going to cause the least irritation on the skin, but get the best results. So using very high concentrations, but the safe concentration, because often when you use something that's too high, it can have a negative effect on the skin. So it was very much about getting the purest, most active ingredients, and then working with my formulating chemist to put them in the correct delivery system to get the results, because it's very much about the delivery system. If you have an active ingredient, it may not be in the right molecular size, and that's really just going to sit on top of the skin and create irritation and blockage and, all kinds of different things on top of the skin. So again, it was about not just the active ingredients, but the delivery system was absolutely crucial.
I think it's funny that of all the guests that I've had on the show who have been involved in manufacturing skincare, it's only a couple that have talked to the delivery system. And, whenever I'm asked questions about, and the things that you get asked questions on are almost always the same. Retinol is, the number one thing I'm asked about. Retinol or vitamin A, which one should I be using? How often, where, when, at what strength? Then vitamin C, and then niacinamide and vitamin B complex, and then of course sunscreen. They're the main things that I get asked about. And a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, I've tried vitamin C, makes my skin break out," or "I've tried
Mhm.
vitamin A, my God, my skin was peeling like a snake." And the thing that I always go back to is, at what concentration was it? Were you using it with other ingredients in the right order?
Mhm.
And what was the delivery system? I always ask, what was the delivery system? Because you're quite right. If the delivery system isn't correct, if it's not encapsulated, for example, for vitamin C, or if you've got an oily skin and it's in a carrier oil that's too heavy for your skin, you're going to break out. You do have to look, it's not just a matter of having your vitamins or your active ingredients. They have to be balanced. It has to be the right and the safe level of ingredient potency. Just because it's the highest potency doesn't mean it's the right potency for you. And that's the challenge. That's really hard. And I really like what you've done with the brand. I'll tell you two things I love about the brand, and I wanted to experience it as a consumer before we met. So, one is this pathway to glowing skin concept that you have, which I want you to talk about in a second. I love it. It's super simple and it's really clever. And the other thing that I really like that you've done is that you've retained the luxury element of skincare within a cosmeceutical context, because sometimes you want to use a nice product, something that feels good and nice, even though it's active. So I think those two things are quite unique to the MX brand. But can you share with us your pathway to glowing skin, that philosophy? I really love it.
Well, the pathway to glowing skin, I think, is absolutely essential. Once we had, 7-step routines that we were going through, and, that takes up time. People don't have the time. So that can be a deterrent to even using skincare. I don't have the time, to do that. So I wanted to develop something that was easy and could easily be incorporated into everyone's life, because the skincare routine is such an important part of our morning and evening part of the day. I think it's essential. So with the pathway to glowing skin, it's really just 4 steps, and then a special care for once a week. So it's cleansing, followed by serum, followed by moisturizer, followed by eye cream. And of course, those serums differ whether that's morning or night. Of course, we're going to be using vitamin C's, B3s in the daytime. Of course, that's our armor, our protection against free radicals and taking us into our day. And then, of course, we need the repair at nighttime when our skin's in repair mode. And that's when we're introducing the vitamin A. And of course, vitamin A should only be used at nighttime. Um, and then once a week, using your special treats of, your exfoliate and hydration mask. So it's just very simple. We have one cleanser, and, I say put that in the shower. So, you can use that easily. It's not a chore to have to be doing something at the mirror, unless of course you wish to. And then, jump out of the shower and you apply your serum. I like to wait a couple of minutes for that serum to penetrate. While that's happening, I might do something else, just, put on my body lotion or something like that, and then apply the moisture. And with regard to the moisture, I love adding a couple of drops of the facial oil to the moisture. Again, that's just going to give an extra protection of antioxidant protection and an added glow, hydration to the skin, and then eye cream, and boom, you're out the door.
Can I ask, Alison, do you think there are a lot of misconceptions in the skincare industry? Because, it's a brave step to take to launch your own skincare brand. And I'm sure people have said to you, why now? Why you? Um, but you must have felt like in your gut that there was something not quite right for you to enter the fray yourself.
Well, I was often disappointed with the results I was getting on my skin. I knew that I wanted to be using active ingredients, and I'd be disappointed. I'd end up with my skin, using a vitamin A, I'd be red skin, peeling, all those sorts of things. I didn't like that on my skin. And I didn't, they were often not contained in airless containers. So,
I do love your containers. They are great.
well, I'm like, how can this be effective? How can it be effective if I'm opening a jar and putting my finger into it? The oxygen's getting into this product, bacteria from my finger. How can this remain active and at its, best effective point when the oxygen is getting into that? So I thought, I couldn't find what I was looking for, and I was driven to wanting to create it. I knew what I wanted, so, why not? And that's really how MX Skincare was born.
So the range is quite tight, which we talked about, and the pathway to glowing skin is quite a nice edit. So it kind of suits a busy person. Can you tell me what you've done, I guess, with the formulations to be able to offer an edit? So the vitamin C, for example, it's not just vitamin C, it does have other actives in it. Isn't that right? And the oil, for example, is a compound of active ingredients.
That's right.
Is that how we're able to shortcut? Is that what you think is, the best way forward to have actives that work well together, but are also going to reduce the sheer volume of layering that we would normally want to do?
Yes, that is very true. But I've also tried to keep it quite individual as well, because, as we spoke about before, some people, can have a sensitivity towards something like vitamin C, or at different times have different sensitivities, as has happened with me when I was going through menopause. There was a lot of ingredients that I couldn't use because it was reacting on my skin. So, boom. I need something that's just vitamin B3, and I know that that's safe. It's literally made for sensitive skin. It's going to give me all the things that I need without the irritation of some of the other active ingredients. So sometimes when all the active ingredients are combined together, it can be too much for the skin to handle. So
Totally. Oh my goodness.
yes,
Haven't we all had like science experiments on our face before and regretted it?
most definitely. But other active ingredients work well together. Of course, with vitamin B3, we've incorporated peptides, 2 peptides into that formulation, because that's going to have, the best benefit. They work well together. So it's not a compromise to put those two ingredients together. And the same with adding a little bit of vitamin B3 to the vitamin C. So if you know that if you're using vitamin C, well, I don't have to do a layer of B3 first and then vitamin C. I can just do the C. It's got the B3 in it. So yes, there is a little bit of, I guess, shortcutting so that we're not spending, time with that 7-step, routine every day in front of the mirror.
I've got a question for you, given that you're a makeup artist. One of the biggest challenges of having a multiple layer skincare routine, which I confess to having, um, it's
So
really
do I.
hard to pick a favorite child with serums, and you start with one, then you've got another thing that you're correcting with, and off you go. What is the correct order of using things? Let's talk first during the day so that your makeup doesn't pill, because it is like if you have a lot going on, your makeup won't sit on your skin if you are going to wear makeup, or even tinted moisturizer will pill.
That's exactly right. I think that it's very important that you always put the lightest, the formulation that, like, say, a gel formulation first, followed by a lotion, followed by a cream, etc. But very important to allow each step to completely penetrate the skin. So as I was saying, once I jump out of the shower, have used the cleanser, I'll put a serum on, and then I'll just do something else, whilst that is absorbing into the skin and pressing it into the skin, so that you're not putting all these layers on and then, they're having trouble absorbing into the skin. So I think that's extremely important, because you don't want that peeling effect, with makeup when you're using too many layers on the skin, as you have said. And incorporating, the moisturizer with putting a couple of drops of facial oil into that moisturizer. Again, you're not having that layer of moisture, layer of oil. That's going to work best on the skin. You're going to get the hydration without getting that really, thick. And all of the MX skincare products are very lightweight, and meaning lightweight that they're not going to be heavy on the skin and just sit on top of the skin. They're made to really optimally penetrate into the skin.
I noticed that even your exfoliant is kind of a dual action exfoliant. It's almost like a mask. It's a BHA AHA mask that you leave on for 10 minutes,
Correct.
which is
Right.
fantastic for more
Yes.
mature skin as well. Because I think a lot of people think, oh, BHA AHA, it's great for if you have breakouts and but it's also amazing for pigmentation, and pigmentation is what makes you look old.
Very much. And what I love about lactic acid and the MX exfoliate is one of my favorite products, because lactic acid is the most effective exfoliant to dissolve dead skin cells and debris on the skin, but it attracts moisture at the same time. So you finish after the exfoliation. It's almost like having a moisture mask as well on the skin. So yes, you're treating the pigmentation, as you said, you're cleaning the skin, but you're giving your skin a real boost of moisture at the same time. And I was very specific in the creation of that we wanted that to be a low level lactic acid, so it could be tolerated by all skin types. So if it's, in the 2000s, we were all going in for these, acid peels and things. The higher the medical grade, the better. You
Absolutely.
come out, with your face just so red, the barrier function completely destroyed. How could that be good for us? So I wanted to keep it so that it was safe for everyone to use at home. My daughter is 15, and she uses that mask once a week, and it's gentle enough on her skin, and it's extremely sensitive, as I am. So that's what I really love about that mask, and the fact that lactic acid is so gentle on the skin.
I'm going to ask you a question that's outside of what we've been talking about, but it's more on that. It's something that is coming up more and more with makeup. So I'm interested that you, as a skincare brand, have picked up on it so early, and that's the whole idea of inclusivity and being a brand and a product that will work across all ages, ethnicities, skin types, skin tones, skin shades. Is that, do you think, because of having been a makeup artist and worked with so many different faces, that you know that um, one size doesn't fit all?
I think that it's just so important that everybody can use skincare. I think it's important no matter gender, ethnicity, skin type, skin tone, etc. So I really wanted to create something that, you know, like my husband and I could both use, and that every skin type could use, that there was no gender divide, so to speak, with creating a skincare product. And, really, skin is skin. And just having a product that was inclusive for all to use was very much important to me. And being a makeup artist, of course, that was brought to mind, because I worked on, so often I worked on male skins, and you know men do want to use products on their skin. They're often
They
irritated
do,
doing
and
that
they really
daily
do.
shave, that daily shave, and using a product. So, the shaving creams often with, perfumes and um, uh, ingredients that can irritate the skin. So they don't even want to shave half the time, because it's painful to shave. So in developing the foaming cleanser, for instance, it's absolutely beautiful for men to shave with. It's a coconut derivative that creates the foam, of course, which is very moisturizing, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. It's just beautiful to shave with. So yeah, those things really did come to mind in formulating the product.
You mentioned before that you'd gone through menopause, and you
Yes.
realized that your skin sensitivity was really enhanced at that time. That's a question I get asked a lot. If we're in peri or menopause, what do you think are the kind of the ingredients that we should look for and gravitate towards, and where would you suggest we perhaps back off um, to give the skin the opportunity to adjust?
I think that, when I started going through menopause, it was horrific. I actually developed, I had never had it, psoriasis all over my body. And then I got it on my face. And
Wow.
I was like, I can't believe this one. I'm developing a skincare product. Skin has been my thing always. I've never had a problem with skin. And my dermatologist was recommending that, I use different products, and there's no active ingredients in those. Most of the time they're filled with lots of parabens and things, and my skin was constantly feeling dirty. It wasn't healing the problem whatsoever. And I was developing the foaming cleanser, the vitamin B3 and the moisturizer at the time. So I just decided, well, I know what's in this. I'm going to use this and see how this works on my skin. And amazingly, the psoriasis cleared up on my skin.
And psoriasis is an autoimmune, so that is a tough one.
I know. And, occasionally I will, get a little breakout if I've used, say a lipstick that has a particular perfume or something in it. That can make it flare up. And immediately I go back to the vitamin B3. That is literally an antibiotic, in a jar, as far as I'm concerned. It does really heal the skin. So I think that when you're going through menopause or anything like that, even like, high stress in your life, I think you just need to pull it right back and be gentle on the skin, because these things come out in our skin. And if we're going to be putting a load of different ingredients on the skin, it's too much. So we just need to pull it back, keep the routine very simple.
And what
And
I'm hearing is vitamin B, vitamin B, vitamin B. Like
yes,
every, it seems to be the thing that soothes, that hydrates, that gives you some all-round protection.
yes,
That, is that your desert island item? If you had
yes,
to
it
choose
is.
one favorite child.
I just said this the other day. If I had to choose one product, well, I'd have to take two. It'd have to be the cleanser and vitamin B3. Vitamin B3, I think, is absolutely a miracle product.
Isn't it
And
funny?
it's
Because I
so
mean, even 4 years ago, it was kind of on the radar, but not really. And now it really seems to be a hero ingredient in conversation. I think retinol is still the most searched
yes,
ingredient. And I think probably the most misused ingredient in
absolutely.
cosmeceuticals. But vitamin B, you're quite right, because my 12-year-old can use it and I'm 49 and I love it. And men can use it. Men love using vitamin B because it's not
Very
sticky,
popular with men.
instantly hydrating. If you have an ethnic skin type that produces more sebum, vitamin B is
Perfect.
fantastic. If you have a skin type that's, tends to be more rosacea prone or
Yes.
dry, vitamin B. So I would say it's the most democratic product of them all.
I really think it is. And of course, it's amazing for pigmentation. It's a
Is it
wonderful,
really for pigmentation as well?
very good for pigmentation, and it's an amazing antioxidant. So again, you were speaking about your daughter. My daughter also uses it because we're spending so much time in front of screens. We're on one now, and it's that blue light that comes from the screen that is just it's creating so much damage. It's creating pigmentation, really, and we need to have that protective, I guess, armor on our skin on a daily basis, protecting us, from the environmental pollutants. UV is the number one cause of course, premature aging, but pollutants are the second cause, and it's free radical damage, which is, creating so much problem within our skin. So we need to protect that daily and then repair at night with things like vitamin A.
Are you looking at this conversation that's being had around the skin microbiome? And is that something that you're looking at with interest with your cosmetic chemist and as kind of a future pathway for how MX skincare will develop? Because there seems to be a lot of conversation around, the microbiome system of the skin. Or is there something else that you're excited about that you can share with us?
Look, I'm particularly excited about what's happening, I guess, in the medical world with regard to, de-aging our bodies, like slowing down the aging process. It's about, looking after our organs, and, the skin is the largest organ of the body. And I think that what we're going to see is a lot of flow-on effect from what they're discovering, with, looking at cures for cancer and lots of different diseases and slowing down the aging process of the organs of the body. I think we're going to see that very much coming through into skincare. I'm really excited about, the medical side very much.
I think you're absolutely right. Regenerative medicine, whilst it's looking at longevity and disease prevention, there've already been some amazing,
Yes.
byproduct discoveries. So, um, I'm under doctor supervision taking metformin, which is a diabetics medication. I've taken it for about 3 years now. And one of the side effects of that, one of the positive side effects of that is collagen formation. So it's been amazing for my skin. It's
Wow.
really, really helped. And there's been lots of clinical studies now on the byproducts of taking a product like metformin. It's it's not it's not a weight loss drug, it's not an anti-aging drug, but it is recognized as being part of a suite of medicines that is used in regenerative medicine. And Professor David Sinclair, in his seminal work, Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to, talks to the skin regenerative effects of taking metformin, which I, of course, don't go out and get anything before you go to a doctor. I've been under, I take blood tests twice a year. I go to an endocrinologist, I go to a hormone doctor, and it's worked for me. But I agree. I think that medical pathway is going to be super exciting. And the
So
gut health, the gut microbiome
yes.
connection with skin.
I think it's, again, so important what we put into our bodies as well. I've been taking the Wellco Super Elixir literally since the day it came onto the market, and it's my medicine that I take every single day. There's so many amazing ingredients in that, and of course, very much pre and probiotic formulated. And
Absolutely.
I'm interested also about, the pre and probiotics with regard to how we could utilize that in skincare. And we are seeing that. But I think there's some really exciting things happening in that sphere as well.
I was going to ask you, going back to the conversation about myths, do you think that there are some skincare myths that, if you're at a dinner party with your friends or if you're speaking on a panel, that you just want to kind of shake people and say, gosh, don't do this, or gosh, you don't need this? I'm really curious from that, cosmetic chemist perspective or from a product formulator perspective. Is there anything that you really want us to know?
Absolutely. Look, the number one thing I am constantly asked, and we did, touch on this before, people say to me, what percentage is your vitamin C? What percentage? And my answer to that is always it's the correct percentage. I think there's an absolute myth that it has to be the highest percentage or you're not going to get a result. And everyone has a perception of what that percentage should be.
That's
And of
correct.
course, too high a percentage can have such a negative effect on the skin. So I think that's one that comes up all the time. And and I talk to my formulating chemist about this, and I go, well, what is what is the percentage? And we talk about that, and he goes, but Alison, this isn't the answer. It's the right percentage. That is the most important thing with any active ingredient. So I think that is the biggest myth that is out there.
And don't you think we've all become a little bit citizen scientists? We all have like a very absolute
Definitely.
worldview, and we have a favorite brand. And you're quite right. We talk to percentages and ingredients very fervently, like we are citizen scientists and we know what we're talking about.
Yes, definitely. And there's, I think that there should be more education onto, people will hear about an ingredient, go, oh, well, I'm going to use that ingredient, but they have no idea really about what it's for or when to use it or how to use it. So, that's something else that we really try and do on our website is educate people and consumers about ingredients and what products to use for a certain skin concern. Because one size doesn't fit all, and there's different ingredients and different products that are going to be better for different skin concerns and different solutions.
I have a question for you. One of the things that I think is interesting is that everyone wants a super quick result. And they think that a pathway to getting quicker results is cosmeceuticals, which in some respects I would tend to agree with because it is a more concentrated version of skincare. Cosmeceutical is different to cosmetic levels. Um, but in your kind of expert opinion and having now worked as a formulator, how long do you think is is correct and reasonable to expect before we start seeing visible results for different skin concerns?
Again, I think that really depends on the skin concern. And I think some ingredients can have, you can use it and it's like, wow, I can see a difference in my skin straight away.
So
Uh,
let's talk pigmentation. What do you think is a reasonable kind of time frame for us to expect a skincare to deliver results?
Well, I think that, it really is probably around before you actually start to see something, it could be 2 or 3 months. But like for me personally, I'm almost 55 years of age and my
Wow.
skin is looking better. I
And
feel
you
more
live on the Gold
confident.
Coast. You should be a
Yeah,
pigmented.
exactly. I should be a bit more,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Can we stop? Sorry.
Of course.
I was going to say something there, but I won't.
That's okay.
I'll start from 55 again.
Okay, start again.
I'm almost 55 years of age, and my skin feels and looks better to me than what it did when I was in my 30s, 40s, even when I turned 50. And it's like when I see photos flash up on my phone from, different times,
Yes, I
I
know
look at my
exactly
skin
what
and I'm
you
like, wow, my skin just looks so much better. The pigmentation is one of the things that I notice, particularly on my décolletage, on my face. Like, I haven't worn a foundation, a full foundation, 99.9% of the time for the last 3 years. Really just each day, it's just a tinted moisturizer that I use and always lipstick. And that's it. And
I
I just
know.
feel
I think
confident
this
in my skin, and it's the difference in the pigmentation that I really believe that's giving me that confidence and the hydration and the glow of the skin. So how long to get that result? Well, as I said, I think some's immediate, but pigmentation, depending on the level of pigmentation, can take a little longer as well.
but speaking of pigmentation, when I and looking better in your older age than when I was in my early 30s, I'm 49 now, as everyone knows, because I always tell everyone how old I am.
I do too.
Um, I used to have this this is before I had a baby as well. So I used to have pigmentation right slap bang in the middle of my forehead and then pigmentation up here as well. The one on my forehead was so pronounced that we gave it a name. My ex-husband and I gave it a name and we named it after an island in Hawaii called the Molokini. It was that pronounced. And I had, all sorts of laser treatments, ablative treatments, made it worse. Turns out it was melasma. And then I got onto good cosmeceutical skincare. I started being very, very careful with my skin's inflammation, also with what I was taking internally, how I was eating, because it was an autoimmune response, I guess melasma can be.
Yes.
And heat was setting it off what I was eating. If I was taking medication that would create inflammation in my skin. And touch wood, I have never had any pigmentation since, and I don't do BBL or anything like that. It's really just been skincare, and it took a long time, but once I got it right and I respected the balance of um, my skin behaved really beautifully. Same with the texture of my skin. The texture of my skin is 100% better than it was in my 30s. The clarity of my skin is better. Uh, the glow of my skin is better. The only thing that's not better, which is obvious, that's from a is volume. That the volume loss, I would
Yeah.
say, and that's gravity and aging and weight loss.
Natural.
Yeah, but other than that, I
I think
definitely
your
my
skin
skin.
looks absolutely beautiful. You
It's
look
my
fabulous.
hobby, and now that
Gorgeous.
you're in my bathroom cabinet as well, um, to wrap it up, I just wanna I do wanna go back to what's next because you do have a nice tight skincare range. So in my mind, you are very economical with what you launch because you're not launching unless you really, really believe in it. That's how I'm reading it. What's next? Is there an ingredient we should be interested in? Is there a particular product in your range that you feel is missing that you're working on? Can you give us a little peek into where we're going?
Well, without a doubt, we'd very much like to do a sunscreen of some kind. I'd love a universal style tint sunscreen, but it has to be right. So often we have sunscreens that, they just don't feel great on the skin. So finding that right formulation, working on that right formulation. So we're talking about that at the moment. And very much a face mist. I love a hydrating face mist, which is something I'd love to incorporate, our hero product, our hero ingredient, vitamin B3 into. And obviously very hydrating. Hyaluronic acid, I think, is one of the most amazing ingredients. So things like that, they're probably the two things that are very much on my radar, that I'd like to incorporate into the range. But, these things take time. It takes a long time to get the product right. And, I like to test everything personally. I like to work it through my circle of friends and dermal therapists that I work with, etc., to get the product right. And these things just take a little bit of time. So it's exciting. And, there is a few things happening behind the scene. And it would be nice to, I guess, round that out at least to 10 products in our range. We have 9 at the moment, of course.
Well, I want to thank you so much. And I want to encourage anyone who's listening, if you are curious, to actually order from MX Skincare because when I did it just to have had the experience before we spoke. It was like a net-a-porter delivery. It was the most glorious delivery. Everything was beautiful. The packaging was so chic. I loved the personalized note. I loved it. Everything about it was extremely different to what I was expecting and what you normally get from a cosmeceutical brand. And it felt very much like it was for me. So, congratulations on that aspect of it as well, because
Thank you.
I think people like that. It wasn't lost on me. I really enjoyed that aspect
So
of it too.
much. Well, I like to create that experience for our customers, and it's something that I talk with all my team about. This has to be a special experience because you're making an investment and you're investing in your skin. So it has to be like, if you've walked into the store and purchased, a beautiful luxury item, it's going to be wrapped beautifully. And when you open it up, it's that feeling of joy of,
It
this
sparked
is
joy
amazing.
for sure. For
Thank
sure,
you.
it sparked joy, and thank you. I really appreciate it, and I love using it. I put on my social media, a few times now. And as I said to you before we recorded, my goodness, I had been so sick. I was like, I don't get sick very often. I really don't, and I haven't been sick since I had COVID last year. But I got so sick, and I looked so ugly. And oh my god,
I
what am I
couldn't
going
believe
to
that.
I did, but I did 2 things. I used your, hydrating mask.
Yes, great.
Uh, I did 3 things. I used your hydrating mask, I used the vitamin C for the glow, and I did an LED
Beautiful.
light mask as well.
Yes, I have the, Omnilux
That's what I
Pure
have
Plus,
too, yes.
and I swear by that. I did that this morning. I mean, it's such an amazing, again, developed by a doctor, such an amazing,
Exactly.
tool. I love it. So that's great. Well, you look
Oh,
absolutely
well, before I
fabulous.
let you go, I have one last question. I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you this. And this is on behalf of all of us, men and women, who are also getting injectables and
Yes,
aesthetic treatments. Does your, do you think that skincare can prolong the life and the efficacy
absolutely.
of what? And is there anything that you think is better than others to extend the life of injectables?
A great skincare routine is most definitely going to extend the life of your injectables, and hyaluronic acid is extremely important, especially when it comes to our like fillers, and most of them are hyaluronic acid these days. So that keeping the hyaluronic acid up to the skin. So like with our moisturizer, with the hydrating mask that you just used, you're getting lots of hyaluronic acid there, and also using antioxidants on the skin, because that's going to protect the skin from free radical damage, which of course, destroys the collagen and the elastin, and using things like peptides and vitamin A, etc., to stimulate collagen and elastin production. That is again going to help extend the life of any sort of injectable. And most injectable places you go, of course, they have skincare, because they know that using an at-home routine is definitely going to be beneficial. One without the other, I really don't believe is, you're investing so much money in a cosmetic injectable, you want it to last as long as you possibly can and to get the best result from it. So they go hand in hand, same as plastic surgery. At-home routine is so important.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I
It's that
totally agree.
daily.
And we learned that lesson. We learned that lesson during lockdown because we couldn't go and get our injectables.
That's
And
right.
those of us who were like meticulous with our skincare routine, we came out of it looking respectable, and we felt fresh and good. And the ones who didn't, like if you ran out of your favorite moisturizer or serum and you weren't getting, well,
Oh,
quite the
thank
shock.
was so great, that we had all our at-home care at the time, because that's what got us through. But I absolutely love a skincare routine. I think it's that very special part at the beginning of each day, end of each day, that little bit of self-care, and it just leaves your skin feeling, absolutely glowing and healthy. It's that little boost of confidence that we give to ourselves each day, and that reset each night. I think a skincare routine is one of the most important parts of the day for me, especially.
It was so nice to speak to you, Alison. Thank you so much. And it's quite remarkable that you're a resident of the Gold Coast and your skin is so flawless and
Oh,
unlined
thank
and
you.
clear of any sun damage. So we'll have what you're having. It was really wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your interest in MX Skincare. And you are absolutely beautiful
Oh,
inside and out. So thank you for sharing your journey with me as well.
thanks, Alison. I'll see you soon. Look forward to meeting you in Sydney.
See you soon. Absolutely. Thank you.